Well, hello and welcome to this week's Material Musings.
Welcome to Material Musings, where the fabrics tell their tales. Eco-dyed colors from the garden, slow stitches where the heart exhales. Painting cloth and weaving stories, wall hangings blooming bright. Come create with Amanda, where your creativity takes flight.
Hello and welcome to this week's Material Musings. I'm so glad you could join me. What is it you see? If you're new here, we are going to be looking at different fabric and textile art projects, some of the things that I've been working on. I'm just really excited about working with textiles and fabrics, fibres, everything. So in the last episode of Material Musings, I discovered this amongst my leather scraps. Basically, a while back I bought a big bag of scraps, I think 2 bags of scraps, and it's literally all the offcuts and things that are no longer used, and so I decided over time to do different things with them. And I had made the foundations of these, the earrings and the necklace. And what I like doing is using the tool and creating different designs in it. And I've created a few faces and things like that, and I'm always experimenting. And so I had said that I was going to complete this, and I have, and I think it actually, I really do like it. The only thing with the earrings is they're slightly heavy for me, heavier than I would normally wear. But so if I am going to wear them, I will need to only wear them for short periods of time. And then the other thing going forward is that they're backed with leather. So maybe think of a lighter material like felt, say, and put as a backing so that it's soft. But that's a really thin leather that I put on. But yeah, and then I've kind of gone around the edge with silver, because I do wear a lot of silver. But yeah, so what do you think? It's nice, isn't it? And this is an unusual shape. And again, for me, what I find is that wearing metal, so even the idea of this, I've got a piece of metal here, so I'm going to have to come up with maybe just using fabric here, because I find that having metal on my skin, there's a reaction. So that's something that I need to be mindful of. But yeah, I really like the way that it looks, and I'm going to create a lot more of them. You know, not production line, just, you know, for my own use. And, you know, maybe if I create some others, I might put them up. Anyway, so today I felt like playing about with some more leather and using my wood burning tool, and I'll show you some of the different heads that come with it. And I just thought I'd play, you know, and experiment with some smaller bits. I've been for a while enjoying creating miniature. And have I got one to hand? Yeah, you're lucky. I got one to hand. But so, oops. There's one with a table and chairs, but so miniature like bookcases, scenes. I've got one with table and chairs and things like that, and you know, settees, and just creating spaces which I have shared over time, but creating spaces that are on the miniature side. So I'm thinking of not outrightly today thinking, okay, this piece of leather is going to be used in this way, but creating some of the designs and patterns and just playing about with some, you know, different designs and looking at how it feels. And then further down the line, I might come up with a project and think, oh, I've created something that's going to be perfect. And that's really how I like to work with some of my things. It's just like you feel compelled to make something. You're not quite sure what it's going to be for at that particular time, but the use always comes to you over time. And it's just like when you're collecting things. Some people call it hoarding, but there's an extreme to hoarding. But when you're a collector, and you suddenly get rid of something that you've been collecting over time, the very next day, the said thing that you need is what you got rid of. And it's just like, it's always happened to me. So with that said, let's look at, firstly, we'll look at the tool that I'm going to be using, and then I'm just going to get out some leather scraps and see what sparks my interest and what I can share with you. Okay, so come on, let's go. Okay, so I thought we could start out by looking at some of the different heads. So this is the tool that I use. This is just a cheap one that I'd bought. I have been looking for some others. I went to, where was it? When I went to Carifesta, there was this creative that was burning into wood, and her wood burning tool was absolutely fantastic. But she'd got hers online. But yeah, anyway, so I've been looking out for a better one. So these are the tools that I use. I always have this with me so that if I want to change the heads, this gets hot. So you don't want to burn yourself. So I usually just change it, put it back on, and then you're ready to go. But obviously, you have to be so careful because you could burn yourself. So let's just come in a little bit closer, and then you can see the designs of these. So I think this particular one I don't use as often, but you just get a nice shape. I think the one I probably use the most, and the one that decorated the necklace and the earrings, is this one. It's almost like a leaf shape. Yeah. And then you've got this one, which, yeah, you can see there. Unless I'm creating like a repeated pattern, I don't really use these two. But okay. Yeah, and then when I'm making up my own pattern, these are the ones that I would use that give you the kind of the circles, the dots, the lines, and you know, you can use them. I would not only use it to create a dot, I would use it to make shapes. You can have repeated patterns and shapes, lines, dashes, whatever. And it's to see how many ways in which you can use. You know, this one you'll get a larger dot. This will also, if you leave it on, all of them will go through the piece. And then these, again, thinner lines, maybe marks. But there's a whole range. This is just a really tiny selection of the different heads that you can get. And they just slot on here. And you screw it on like so. So I think I might start out with this one and then work my way on to this one. This is just a tea light. Once I've taking it off, I put them in here because again it's going to be hot. Okay, so let's look at some of the leather. This was the little setup that I was looking for, that I was going to show you. So you've got a little table, the lamp, and a journal there waiting to be filled. We've got this little bottle here. Do you want to come in? Yeah, come in a bit closer. But I just had so much fun in creating it. And look, we've got a little piece of leather that I've put here and added, and these were just, again, 2 scraps. It could be, you know, another little tiny journal, it could be holding a pen set, it could be anything. And then we've just got this little kind of cup of a beverage, who knows what's in there, and this little mat. Yeah, so I really enjoy putting these smaller pieces together. Okay, so let's look at some of the scraps I've got. I've got a varying array of scraps in varying sizes, and we've got the really tiny, because I was going to say, because I don't like throwing anything away, but there's so many different uses that you can get from something. And as I say, even one of these smallest of scraps went, you know, it's like that size, and I was still able to do a design in there and use it on the miniature work. So that's why I have all of these smaller pieces. I now have a reason. And okay, so, and then they get larger and larger dependent, you know, whether I've worked from pieces like these, which are larger scraps like this, and this is what I would maybe, you know, make a earrings, book covers, depending on the, I don't think I've got any of the really soft leather in this particular one, because I did separate them by the type of leather, because also it then, depending on the type of leather, these ones you can burn into quite easily, and maybe if I upgrade my tool I can burn into the thicker ones, which is this kind of one, which is I've used as backing, which I showed in last week's in the previous video, which I'll link. Yeah, so I'm thinking we're going to and these ones I'm thinking as well, I can paint them, so even if I don't burn into it, I can paint it. But we're just gonna take some of the smaller pieces, not the really tiny ones, but you know, I started out just burning into them, and I'm just gonna go through some of them and just burn into some of them and see what I'm feeling coming from it. Let's see, I've tried doing some writing in some of them, and these are good for just practicing. So if we look at the ones that I said I hardly use, it would be these ones, so this and that. But maybe if I did, as I said, a repeating pattern, maybe I would actually like the way it looks. So here's a nice piece that I can use. Let me just take them all out. Some of them, again, they're different types of leather, and some of them already have stuff on them where I've looked at different inks and distress inks that I've put on them. So you could colour them in that way. So my tool is heating up quite nicely, so I'm just going to move some of these out of the way. The other thing to do is make sure you work in a ventilated environment. So yeah, there's all these tiny little bits that, you know, you could either do one line, or this has been stuck together, so I'm not sure what. I'm going to do with that. Or collage. Collaging the bits and putting them together, sticking them together, stitching them together. So you can see the difference in these two pieces. So let's get on with doing some of the burning. This is the another thicker piece. Sorry, let's come out. About there, yeah. So I found this quite difficult to burn into, and the colours. So you may want to change the colour somehow, like bleach it, or I don't know. Okay, but I'm going to work on some of these smaller ones, and then we'll see what it looks like once I've done them, and I'll think about maybe a mini collage, or just maybe even sometimes tidying some of them up. Like this particular one, I would want to maybe straighten it up. Anyway, I'm gonna get going. I need to put on my fan, so I'll put some background music so you can watch, and then I will change the head and do some either additional on the same one or do some different ones. Okay? Okay, so let us have a look and see some of the patterns that I've done. And, you know, they can potentially be used for other things or as an inspiration. And what you can do is practice working, creating different designs and seeing which one you like, and then you can replicate that on a bigger scale. But I like just even imagining that, what if that was all you had to, that had to be decorated, not as if it was a scrap, as if it was it's your canvas that you're working on, so what are you going to do with it? And, you know, these pieces, don't look at them as like when I cut this bit off, it's all part and parcel. So they're all in their own right. Even this, I liked that. They're all in their own right of value. Yeah. So I hope that that's what I was saying about the this thicker leather. It's a lot harder to burn into and create a pattern. You have to really leave it on for long to even make you know, a slight, but that's fine. I use the ones that I have that will give me immediate marks, and I get on with it. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be using these for. I don't need to know right now, but all I do know is I have another set of marked up leather pieces that I can use in different projects, and yeah, I'm looking forward, even in a collage piece, to see how putting together a piece and how it could look if you know, took the same shapes and put them together to make it look like they've just been separated by being cut, but they've all got very similar designs. So I'm gonna play an experiment, and if you want to see some of that experimentation, you can come and join us on Patreon and see some of the ways in which I might use them further. Okay, so take care for now, and I look forward, if you're playing about with your leather scraps, if you've got leather scraps, I'd love to see what you do with them. Further down the line, I'll probably start making holes in these so they can be added to stitch projects, or they can be stuck on, you know, the world is your oyster. Anyway, take care for now.